Hello, welcome to the official Hyperprobes video guide. If you already know what Hyperprobes is, then skip here, but Hyperprobes is a full AAA level lighting system for Unity. It allows you to have high quality graphics on powerful hardware, and it scales down in one click to run on low-end machines. It has full 3D reflections instead of infinitely far away reflections and custom baked indirect lighting. And baked lighting bakes significantly faster than Unity's built-in baked lighting system. It even has the ability to bake lighting at runtime. It also has a custom system for baked indirect lighting for dynamic objects as well. As a bonus, it even includes a custom ambient occlusion method. Hyperprobes is built for Unity 6 and later, and it is built specifically for universal render pipelines set to forward rendering. Using it in any other modes will probably cause issues that may make Hyperprobes unstable or completely unusable. Okay, let's get started. So obviously, if you have not already imported the Hyperprobes asset, you should go ahead and do that. It should be in your package manager, unless if you have not bought it or if you are not signed into the right account. Install it and then import it. The first thing you should do after that is set up your project to use it. Under your Universal Render Pipeline asset, add 2 new renderers. By default, these files would be under Assets and then Settings. Go ahead and add 2 new renderers to the renderer list. The first one should be HP Probe Color Pass, and the second new one should be HP Probe Depth Pass. Make sure that the Color Pass has 1 next to it and the Depth Pass has 2 next to it. Optionally, Hyperprobes comes with their own ambient occlusion method. Just add it and the denoiser to your Universal Renderer data asset that you're currently using. You'll have to add it as 2 full-screen renderer features. Make sure they match all of the settings. The denoiser uses bilateral denoising, which does not use AI, unlike most denoisers now. If you're having other problems with Hyperprobes, make sure the color space is set to linear instead of gamma. It's under Edit, Project Settings, Player, Other Settings, Rendering, Color Space, and then make sure it's set to linear and not gamma. If that is not fixing your issue, please feel free to contact us. Although your feedback is helpful, please don't use the store page review section to ask for help. I would rather get an honest bad review from someone having a bad experience that lets me know how to improve the product than have someone who likes our product ask benevolent questions with 1 star so that it might be seen faster. Regardless, you should be ready to go now. I have now prepared a very simple scene. So the first step is always to go to your scene hierarchy, right-click, and go under Hyperprobes, and then select Hyperprobe Manager. If you have some sort of like game manager game object, you can also set it as a child to this, or you can like just add Hyperprobe Manager. You can add it as a script. It doesn't matter. My favorite thing to do is to have it as its own object and then add all of your hyperprobes to it as where the Hyperprobe Manager is the parent to all your hyperprobes. I realized many Unity plugins have too many settings which can cause confusion, so to access advanced settings, I added an advanced settings component. So you just click Add Component, and then it's just Hyperprobe Manager Advanced Settings. Yeah. Okay, and this is how you adjust some more advanced settings instead of including it in this. Now you can add your first hyperprobe. I'm going to add 2. In fact, I would suggest adding 2. So these are the baked maps of the hyperprobe. You can't view anything right now because nothing is baked. If I were to click bake right now, it wouldn't do anything because none of the materials in the scene are Hyperprobe materials. They're just default Unity materials. So let me go and I'm going to make 2 materials. I'm going to make 2 materials. I'm going to right click. I'm going to hit create and then I'm going to hit material. Okay. So material 1. I'm just going to call it that. It doesn't really matter what you call it. You can call it whatever you want. You could call it Garfield. I don't care. So type in HP. Now you'll notice there's a couple of different ones. The main ones you want to worry about are HP lit, right? Mainly HP lit and HP lit packed. The difference between the two is they're both lit shaders that use hyperprobes. HP lit packed uses Unity's texture packing for if you have a Unity material where it has that one texture that has like the red channel is metallic and green is the occlusion and A is smoothness, like the alpha channel is smoothness. It uses less VRAM, I think less RAM, and it runs a little faster, but it is also a little bit more cumbersome to use. So I'm just going to use HP lit anyway. I'm going to set this as a red shader. Okay, I'm going to make this a fully rough material, and then I'm going to make a duplicate of material 1. It's going to be called material 1.1 instead of material 2 because someone didn't program it to do that in Unity, and I don't feel like changing it. Okay, so I'm going to assign these as a bunch of materials. Yes. You know, let me get some green. That's how you spell green. These objects right here are not set to static over here. These objects are dynamic, which means that they will not bake in the probe. If you click on the hyperprobes in the editor or in the thing, then you can actually view each map. So you can view the direct lighting, you can view the depth map, which is one red channel, you can view the indirect lighting only, stuff like that. Each material takes advantage of 2 probes for intersections. So you can even see the one-click scale to low end platform mode. So as you can see, it's falling back on the cube maps for faster reflections. Okay, I'm gonna make this 100 rays just to make it a high quality thing. I'm gonna make it 10 ray bounces. I'm gonna hit bake. Sometimes changing the order of the probes, because that's the order that it renders in, makes it render a little better or worse. So let's see how this, change that back to 1 ray. Look at that, look at that, look at that. As you can see, regular Unity point lights work just fine. I'm gonna make these static so that way they bake the bounce lighting. When I bake, I'm just gonna have it at 1 ray. Oh, this has it at 10 bounces though, so it's a lot of bounces. So it's a little staticky even for the denoising, but works just fine. So let's get on to Radiance Volumes. So these right here are dynamic objects, which means that they're set to move, right? They do not have static checked on them. So what that means is that the baked lighting does not bake onto these. So like this white over here is not picking up any of this red. If I move this over here, it's not picking up any of this red, right? So you just add under hyperprobes, hyperprobe radiance volume, okay? Just ignore it if you get like an error. It's fine. It's not anything. You need a probe reference because it takes advantage of the performance gains from using hyperprobes instead of traditional ray tracing. Let me select, which one is it? This one? Okay, this is the closest one to them, so I'm gonna select this one. Okay, so I'm gonna make the resolution like 5 by 5 by 5. If one of these is 0 dimensions, it's not gonna bake anything at all. So let me move this over here. Let me increase the voxel size. Let me increase this. So, you know, I actually want to double this volume, so I'm gonna click this button, and then I'm gonna click bake. And just like that, as you can see, it is taking up, oops, this thing now has indirect lighting, and now if I hit play has physics on it. Okay, so there's a little bit of color bleeding, but that's from the ambient occlusion method. But this over here is 100% from the radiance volume. As you can see, I'm facing away from it, and still it is picking up this red wall. You should now be able to make entire projects using hyperprobes. Welcome to the Advanced Features section. Hyperprobes adds custom functions in shader graph. So let's create a new unlit shader. You must make an unlit shader for these. You cannot use the regular lit shader. Don't worry, they can still be lit. It's just the type of shader cannot be called lit shader graph. It's called unlit, even though it can be lit. To find the custom nodes in shader graph, just right-click, create node, and then type in HP. There's also some old functions that start with IE, because shader graph used to be called illumination environments, but during development I changed the name to hyperprobes. Anyways, the main things you want to be using start with HP. So the standout node is, of course, the ray trace node, which allows you to shoot a ray anywhere in the scene. Technically speaking, it's not ray tracing, it's actually ray marching, and it's also not even really a ray, it can be a cone shape. So if you have scope set to 0, it is a ray shape, but if you have it set to 0.5, it's a 90-degree cone. If it's 1, it's a 180-degree cone. If it's 0.25, it is a 45-degree cone. So let me just add. Okay, now let me try this one. So plug this in here, and as you can see, it is shooting out a 0.25 scope ray. Let me set this to 1, and let me try setting this to 0. Okay, and as you can see, it's very sharp when set to 0. So you can also make a custom hyperprobe lit shader. So let me get rid of all of these. Okay, all you have to do is type in HP and then look for HP lit BRDF. This is a custom lit shader. So I want to make it a red 0.25, 1 metallic, no emissive shader. So the thing is, if you want real-time lighting added to it, like if you want the Unity lights to work with it, which you probably do, you're going to want to add keyword Boolean. Okay, and now for this first one, you're going to want to set it to multi-compile, overridable, don't generate material property, fragment, and then set the reference to additional light shadows. Okay, the name can be whatever, but I'm still gonna set it to this anyway. Okay, and then just like duplicate this 4 times. Yes, 4. This is really annoying. I wish there was a better way of doing this, but there is no way of doing this. Okay, so set the for this duplicate of it, you're gonna want to set the reference to main light shadows. Okay, and then set this third one's reference to underscore main light shadows cascade, and then set this fourth one to underscore shadows soft. So you can copy these in the description. Okay, and I almost forgot the important thing. So for your normal, you're gonna make sure no matter whatever you're using, the normal is converted to world space. And you're also gonna want to make sure that this is 1, unless if you just want it to be black for some reason, or to be like really bright for some reason. you probably want this set to 1. So as you can see, it's a metallic shader. That's pretty boring, so I'm gonna add time UV, or add. I'm gonna make this into a custom shader that shows that this is a custom shader. So that way, you know that this is a custom shader. Custom shader. Okay, I've made my custom shader, plugged it into the thing, and it looks like that. So you can get really creative, or you can do what I just did and make something terrible. You know, I'm gonna make the bluest scene ever. You know, oh no, there's terrorists on the chair.